Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals and our favorite stories of the year. And we end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 77. Sorry for all my drama today. So, seriously, I was stressed. I just stressed myself out for no reason. So we're gonna... Sorry, go ahead.
It's fine. Do you want to do our intros at all?
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra. I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
I have these big cushions that I used to keep in my office, and I got rid of them, and I'm so worried that the sound is going to be messed up. I still have the little sound panels around, but hopefully the sound won't be echoey or anything.
Well, didn't you say that the time that it was echoey before, it was just like some weird thing with your mic or something like that?
Well, my camera was plugged in instead of the mic.
Yeah.
So we recorded a whole episode, but I didn't figure it out for months and months until I did it again. And then I was like, oh, I bought all this audio muffling stuff and put cushions all around the room. But I'm still superstitious, the cushions must have done something, So, because I cleaned out my room. But anyway, so we'll be off for 2 weeks, the next 2 weeks, and we'll be back on January 10th. Double checking. Yeah, January 10th. So we're going to be off for the holidays, even though we're not going anywhere, but it'll be nice to have a break.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
Yeah. So
it's been a busy week, right? A lot of stuff has been happening. Royal stuff, Tom Cruise.
Yeah. It's been fun. You have more in your intro. I don't have any good stories to tell except for shows I'm watching and stuff.
I haven't been watching anything good either, but I have been watching the news, and I'm really excited about the second vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, being probably approved by the time the podcast comes out. And so, I don't know, it'll just be exciting to have millions of vaccines out there in the next few months.
I hope we can both get vaccinated, mid-March would be awesome, around my birthday.
Yeah, it would be.
Because that'll be just a year,
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, still, it's way too long, but it's something.
Yeah, I don't want to brag about this, but I have been pretty okay in lockdown. And I know that I'm very privileged to work from home and all that, but I've been really chilled out. Lockdown agrees
shut
with
up.
me.
Thank you. No. That was nasty. Have a different, I've always been kind of cynical and disliked people. I really dislike people now, and I'm never going to look at the world the same. I kind of got that already after Trump was elected, but it really intensified with the amount of people I see going maskless and being jerks. Yeah. That's getting to me.
And you haven't seen your parents in a while.
I haven't seen my parents in a year. Yeah.
That's awful.
I use a device to talk to my mom. I don't want to say its name. It ends with an A and starts with an A. Because it'll be yes, can I help you? I'm listening to everything you do. And that's nice. And we also figured out how to use Zoom to watch shows together. So we've been watching a few shows, we've been doing that on Saturday nights. And I made new friends. I met all the women from Zoom, and I feel like they're my good friends now because I've been talking to them once a week. It was our 36th meeting this week. So that's nice, but I don't know. I'm trying to be positive.
Yeah, I think we'll probably be able to get the vaccine by March, don't you? I think we will.
Yeah, I'm hoping we'll get it by around my birthday. And
if you had the choice, would you get the Pfizer one or the Moderna one?
If I had the choice, Moderna one, I should pick that one.
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. I would think I'd probably get the Moderna one as well.
I will take whatever one I can get. And I'll be happy with whichever one I can get the quickest. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So this week is crazy good. We heard that Harry and Meghan have a new podcast coming out called Archewell Audio, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But the way that they meted out news ahead of that was just freaking awesome and so smart. Because it was masterclass from Meghan. On Monday, she did a short video for CNN Heroes where she was talking about food insecurity and the people who are helping their communities with that. And then that same day...
Well, no, the CNN Heroes event was Sunday night. So the video came out like late Sunday. And then...
Even better.
Yeah, and then in the same news cycle, basically, the news came out about Clevr Blends.
Yeah, she sent Oprah, she invested in a startup, all natural, like latte and matcha mix company, and she sent a basket to Oprah. I think she hand delivered it because it was like open with little evergreen boughs in it and stuff, you know? Oprah opened it and drank it on camera. And yeah, that's like massive amounts of free publicity. And the stuff was selling out.
Yeah, like I was looking through Oprah's Instagram. It's been a while since she's done sponsored content or any sort of endorsement like that. She's been doing book endorsements, to be fair.
Yeah.
She's been posting a lot about the books that she's reading, and she's like really into that book Cast. Like she's done so many Instagram posts about it. But there have been no products, anything, endorsements, sponsored, anything like that. For a while.
That's because she has her favorite things that came out like a month ago, I think.
Like for her magazine?
No, she did that favorite things with Amazon.
Oh, well, that's different though.
No.
No, I think that is different because that's not on her social media, like a very specific, very direct, like, this is what I'm drinking, this is what I like.
That's the power of Oprah. Like, she'll make a huge list and all that stuff will sell out. So yeah, it is more powerful that she put it on her Instagram. You're right. And what Meghan did was, I'm sure she did this on purpose. She did those two things so that the media would punch itself out. I love how you've been using that. And I wanted to copy that from you. And criticize her for, you know, Oprah using the crown emoji because her neighbor M gave her some latte mix.
How fucking petty was that too? Like, how fucking...
Yeah, it was
like,
so dumb.
I can't believe that Oprah used the crown emoji, you know, take away their titles. That was so asinine. But yeah, they punched themselves out over that. And then they had nothing for the big Spotify reveal.
Oh, well. It's like she set up her dad. I mean, she didn't do it maliciously. She did it smartly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, I just don't think that Meghan and Harry really give a shit anymore about that sort of hypercriticism and the melodrama from the royal reporters. I feel like they're honestly actively trolling the royal reporters now.
The thing is, they couldn't wish for a better response than they got because they're so dumb and so over the top.
And all the British people like saying, well, Oprah's not that big of a deal over here. Oprah's a big deal everywhere.
Everybody loves Oprah.
I get that she's a bigger deal in America than other places, but everyone knows who Oprah is.
Yeah, ridiculous. They're criticizing Meghan for investing in this company when Prince Charles has an entire food line with Waitrose.
Yeah.
Like, it's not unprecedented.
Yeah, and the Queen just started a gin line, too. Seriously. I don't know where those profits are going to go. Probably into her little handbag. But...
her little handbag.
Meghan did that so smart, and, like, obviously she doesn't give a shit about titles anymore. And, of course, she wants to invest in companies that are started by women.
Yeah.
It was perfect across the board.
It was wonderful. Here's a segment from Zoom where we talked about this. And this is Karen, Ameerah, and Tanisha.
And then them freaking out over Oprah using the crown emoji and
for the price. They were bitching about the price of it. And they were like, she's promoting this $28 latte. I'm like, she doesn't make the price, guys. Like, she's an investor and it's a small company, which, like, there's no logic. There's like no logic involved. It's just like all vitriol and like all common sense goes out the window.
But they were also lying because it's a $28 bag of lattes. You get 14 lattes. That's less than a cup of Starbucks.
So, yeah, they were like, oh, the lattes are $28. No, they're $2. Pretty inexpensive latte, although you're making it at home.
And there's another royal reporter who was like, there's no word yet on whether or not Meghan will appear on infomercials about this. Like, she invested in it. She's not becoming the face of it, although it would be smart if she was.
Their references are so 90s. Yeah, like infomercial. Like infomercials still, they do exist still. And they're very much a throwback.
Well, the guy just didn't comprehend the idea that she would be an investor. Oh, they would only want her because she would be the face of it. She's selling out a royal title. Idiotic.
But when the other people do it, it's nothing. And what's that one dude who did commercials? Like, come on.
Yeah, Peter Phillips.
Yeah, I knew you'd know. I have no idea. I don't even know who he is.
Yeah, he doesn't have a royal title, but there was royal somewhere in the commercial, like the word royal. It was asinine.
It's worse than the emoji. So yeah, they are doing a podcast with Spotify, Harry and Meghan, and they released an adorable little clip where they're flirty with each other, and she gets them to pronounce stuff and says it's cute, which I used to do with my ex-husband. I used to like how he pronounced stuff, this German accent. It reminded me of that a little bit. And we first heard about that back in September, that they were going to work with Spotify, and they did. They're following the Obama's playbook, kind of.
Yeah, we don't know how much money they got for the Spotify deal, just like we still don't know how much money they got for Netflix. The British press, they throw out all these numbers. I think Harry and Meghan would have gotten significantly less than the Obamas for both Netflix and Spotify, but who knows? I'm sure that it's still millions of dollars.
Yeah, they're not at Obama levels, but they are pretty close. They're the most popular royals, and they're beloved here. And popular. I just said that already, so. But I don't think it's that much less. It's probably 70 or 80% of what, I'm just throwing numbers out, of what the Obamas got. But yeah, they're going to get huge numbers. Everyone's going to be listening to their podcast. So here's that segment from their announcement where they're really flirty with each other.
No, say it, because I think it sounds really nice with your accent.
What, Archewell audio?
Yeah.
Archewell audio.
I mean...
Really?
Yeah, I love how flirty they are with each other. They're very sweet. They've always been like that, though.
Yeah, it's really cute that she still gets horny for his accent, because she was purring like at him, and she was like, "Ooh, you say it with your accent."
The way my ex says ibuprofen and subwoofer, because he goes ibuprofen, subwoofer. I used to ask him to say those things, and it's just kind of funny. He would play it up, but
ibuprofen, subwoofer.
Yeah, it's cute when they do that with each other. They always call my husband my wife. You know, they're just adorable.
Well, they're basically still newlyweds.
Yeah.
Let's hear about it when they're 10 years in.
Well, here's a segment from Zoom where we talked about this, and this is Laura, Ameerah, Tanisha, and Karen.
When I was listening to the Archewell podcast intro between Harry and Meghan, something just struck me of like how much they seem to enjoy working together and doing projects together as opposed to Will and Kate. It was so striking. It was Will and Kate just seemed like they're shoved together to do the rope line and that's it. But Harry and Meghan seem like they really enjoy finding these really cool projects to do and getting involved. And I just think it's cool.
Yeah, you could just tell that they genuinely like each other. That's the thing. They like each other. Yeah.
But they flirted the entire intro. That shit was absolutely cute.
Yeah, I listened to Michelle Obama's podcast. And of course, her husband was the first guest. And it's that same dynamic. He was constantly flirting with her. And he was like, yeah, you know you want to get with me when you first met me because I graduated. You know you want to. And she was like, please. It was so cute, their dynamic and how they talk to each other. So it just reminded me of that kind of relationship where they genuinely like each other and do everything they can to lift each other up.
But I wanted to play that because Karen said that thing about Michelle and Barack being flirty with each other still. I mean, they give each other shit, which is different than being flirty. But they're still kind of flirty giving each other shit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like, I think Barry flirts with Michelle. I don't think she flirts with him that much. Like, she's tired of his shit a lot of the time. Let's be honest. Like speaking of the Obamas, I watched Barack Obama's interview with Duchess and Ameerah on Showtime. That shit was hilarious. And
when he was like giving him crap about
basketball and like
basketball.
The Knicks.
I saw that on Twitter. Yes.
But they asked him about like Michelle, and they were talking about kids, and Obama said that he would have been completely open to have more kids. And he's like, but Michelle shut that down. And he was like, she was like, she called me a bum. And like...
You bum. That's hilarious. So while the Sussexes were just killing it, you know, like they always do, the Cambridges were, they were trying to distract from their pandemic tour of doom. And they did this event, I guess it was like a charity event called Pantoland, where the National Lottery gave presents to kids. They had a free...
and it was a show. It was a Pantoland show, and it was... I don't even know what goes into it, but I would assume it's like clowns or like... Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe. Funny stuff for kids.
Yeah. And... yeah, Will and Kate were not wearing masks on the red carpet. None of the kids were wearing masks because they don't have to in the UK, and I guess that means they're not going to bother. All the kids were unmasked inside, but Will and Kate wore masks inside. Okay, and then they did a voiceover for the charity.
Like, about the mask thing, like, other people on the red carpet were wearing masks. Like, all the elves, all of the people involved with Pantoland.
A lot of parents.
Yeah, a lot of parents were wearing masks on the red carpet. And yeah, in the video, which you're about to talk about, like you hear an elf say, masks on. And then they cut to William and Kate walking the red carpet without masks. It was asinine.
I didn't even notice that. And they did that voiceover. They just read a poem about what they did, which was like Santa asked the kids what they wanted on the red carpet outside. And then they saw the show, and then the young people who were playing the elves went and got all the presents that the kids asked for, and they wrapped them and gave it to them after, which was nice.
Yeah, like all of that is fine. Like the actual stuff with the Pantoland and all the elves, that was really cute and sweet. What I don't appreciate is that William and Kate like centered themselves in this whole charitable thing. They put themselves in there for the performance. And the performance was specifically for essential workers and their families. It's almost like William and Kate see themselves as essential workers.
They do, because that's how they could travel around during a pandemic. And that's all that they had to offer was themselves.
And they didn't pay for any of the gifts for the kids. It's not like they donated tickets to Pantoland. It was all this scheme with the national lottery system. And... you know, you really want to help out essential workers, let the essential workers and their families sit in the royal box and don't go.
Or the stuff we were saying last week, just highlight their stories, you know, center them instead of yourselves. But it's possible they were asked to do the voiceover, and I would have forgiven them for all that if they would have just fucking worn masks, because, But it's too late for them now. It's too late. Yeah, they also put Working Mom Kate on the cover of People magazine. That's not what it said, but that was the gist of the article, which we have seen very similar profiles of her before, right after the Tatler thing came out earlier this year. Okay, they're trying to sell this version of her, which doesn't jibe with her lifestyle on any level.
Right, and it just, the timing of it didn't make sense to me. So you have this pandemic train tour across 3 countries, and it was widely panned, and you don't even mention that in the People magazine article. You don't even like try to do some little fluffy PR to correct that, to like say, actually, you know, we helped a lot of people, you know, everyone was really happy to see us.
It is possible it was in the print edition that was like the long thing, because they do release it piecemeal, but that wasn't what they released online.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like that was the point of the story at all.
No, it wasn't.
The point of the cover story was that Kate is just a regular mom.
Yeah, which we've heard that bullshit about her before. I'm going to read part of the People article. This is a quote from a source. There are no blow dries. It's always hair up in a ponytail. She's either in her gym clothes or a dress and sneakers, very little makeup, apologizing as she's late for the school run before dashing off. It's the life of a working mom with 3 young children. Just a different sort of day job to most. No, it's not. Sorry, I couldn't even keep that stupid voice I use. She has people doing everything for her. She has chefs. She has people doing her laundry and folding it and putting it away. She has somebody who'll come when she rings the bell or presses a button or whatever they do there. And she has a nanny, which they acknowledge the nanny in the piece. But she's not even close to a working mom. I mean, that's offensive.
Like, she's a mom. She's a mom with a lot of help. And don't call her a working mom either, because she's not. She
doesn't have to work. She's really never worked a day in her life except the day she took 2 hours off to get dumped by Will. Sorry, I had to... That was rude. I'm okay with being nasty about them now. Okay, so let's talk about our favorite stories of the year. And it will mostly be your favorite stories of the year because everything's kind of a blur to me.
Yeah, like I asked you if we could do this because this is our last podcast of the year. And this has been such a garbage year, but there have been some like really funny stories. And obviously, like, these are not the stories of the year because a lot of the stories of the year are like fucking tragic as hell. But these are just like fun escapism, weird little stories that I loved writing about, that I loved covering.
So I'm going to crib from you because I do, at the end of the year, I do the top 20 most commented posts. I usually do the top 10, but I looked at the top 20 this year and it's all royal stuff. Yeah. There's absolutely no other stories. So I'm going to take some of your ideas and just throw them into that post so it's more varied other than royal stories. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. And like, we knew that as we were covering all of that shit throughout the year, is that the big story this year was everything royal, all the royal drama. But there were some fun celebrity stuff too. Okay, so I wanted to like just mention, I loved everything about the outing of Lea Michele as a massive bitch. All of those stories were amazing to write. And I loved covering all of it because everyone always had the sense that Lea Michele was a terrible person. And to see former co-star after former co-star come out and say, actually, you know, she was terrible. Like, she was horrible for years. And my favorite one of the Lea Michele's horrible stories was the one where, who was it?
Samantha Marie Ware.
Yeah, Samantha Marie Ware. She told the story about how Lea Michele threatened to shit in her wig.
Who even thinks about that? Like, that is just a terrible threat. Like, how would that even occur to you? And like, that's a put down for yourself that you would even consider doing that. But everyone said that she was terrible. The people she worked on the L'Oreal contract with said she was terrible. Multiple co-stars came out against her. I'll just put a bunch of links in this post for that if you want to revisit that.
Like it was almost the entire Glee cast. Like, and like a lot of people on Broadway absolutely despise her. And everyone who's ever worked with her for like a beauty campaign or an ad campaign, they hate her.
L'Oreal, yeah. That was in June. Before that, I kind of respected her because she was the most stuck up. She had so much self-esteem. It was toxic, obviously. But I was like, oh, well, at least she likes herself or loves herself. I would read interviews with her and I'd be like, okay, I've never heard anybody speak that highly of themselves.
Yeah, there's like a Gwyneth Paltrow streak to her, like a very self-absorbed up her own ass. But yeah, I feel like even Gwyneth is more grounded than Lea Michele.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take much to be more grounded than her. Yeah. And then she got married and had that baby, so she'll probably try to parlay that into something.
Oh yeah, and all of that outing of Lea Michele, that happened while she was pregnant. Which is terrible, but oh well.
Well, because it was during Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
That was what started it off, was Samantha Marie Ware. But yeah, she's just a terrible person.
All right. Another favorite story of mine was the Katie Holmes finding Emilio Vitolo. And the stories weren't crazy popular, but I really loved covering them because the photos were always super stupid. Just her fashion is horrible. And it was just such a dumb pandemic love, and they were always wearing masks. So good for them. They were always wearing masks and wandering around New York, and they were taking joy rides and all that. But I loved covering the story because of this one page 6 story where they were talking about what Katie might have to say to this restaurateur. And, what do they have in common? And an insider said he once auditioned Holmes for a role, and talking to her is like talking to someone who works at Dairy Queen. The source added that little Emilio doesn't have the most sophisticated interests either, so it could work out. They're not discussing books or art or anything.
And they were so dumb in love. They came up after Aflarmus. Ben Affleck and Anna de Armas were kind of laying low because they got called out by the Washington Post.
Because they were so oversaturating the media. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought Katie and Emilio, they were the better version of Aflarmus just because they were always in masks. Yeah. They weren't laughing their way through a pandemic maskless. Katie and Emilio, they kept it cute. They kept it real.
But then he dumped his girlfriend. We heard that he dumped his live-in girlfriend by text to get with Katie.
Yeah. That was a whole mess shady. Too. But then again, people weren't crazy interested in that story, but I enjoyed it.
Because it's Katie Holmes. I think she cultivates being boring on purpose, except for her fashion, because she can get money for wearing clothes. But
but then you have to go back to the Dairy Queen quote. I actually think that she's just that boring. She's that vapid.
Yeah. I mean, the most interesting thing she did was dump Tom Cruise on the down low.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You also put on our list Trump getting COVID.
I mean, we were doing the pod that week, and I was laughing so hard for days. I mean, it was so perfect because he had spent weeks not wearing a mask, not socially distancing. He was just such an asshole about it. He's still being an asshole about it, of course. And then the whole drama of him announcing at 1 a.m. that he has the virus and that Melania has it too. And then the next day he was had to take the helicopter into the hospital. It was just such stupid melodrama. It was hilarious.
Then when he walked up the front steps of the White House and took his mask off and was gasping for breath, he threw a parade for himself around Walter Reed in a closed vehicle. He said that coronavirus was a blessing in disguise, blessing from God, and that you have to dominate it. I mean, he's a terrible person on a lot of levels.
They pumped him full of drugs. And
maybe, he got the heavy duty steroids.
And he was steroiding out and talking about how he felt like he was 21 again or something.
And then he still held maskless parties.
Yeah.
He's still doing it.
I still genuinely believe that so much of the spike in coronavirus cases in mid-November, late November, I think a lot of that was all of his super spreader events that he was holding throughout the country. I really do believe that.
Yeah, because he had all those rallies where people were getting left out in the cold. I forgot about that too. They were freezing or it was too hot and they were getting heat stroke and they had to call the medics. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't feel bad for any of those people.
I do not. I do not feel bad for MAGAs. And I don't feel bad for people who had parties or weddings or anything like that either. I feel bad for other people who caught it from them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm sad for our country, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
All right. And then, like, my favorite 2 royal stories, and they were like multi-thread, multi-week stories that kept going and going. All right, one of them was the Sussexes' You Could Have Had a Bad Bitch farewell tour in March. I loved everything about the farewell tour. I loved the fashion. I loved the messaging. And it was a touch bittersweet, and it was cinematic. And I just love how they planned it all out. It was wonderful. And my true favorite story of the year was the Tatler Catherine the Great story. I loved it.
So, as part of our mailing list sign up, like early in the pandemic, the ad company was like, well, you have to have a mailing list. So I was like, all right. And I did research on it, and they're like top 7 or top 8 stories on a popular topic that you've already written, and make that the sign up. So I had to sign up top 8 stories about the Tatler scandal. So I read all that over. There was so much, and you reminded me of more that came out.
It was a multi-month story. So the very first thing that we had was excerpts from the Tatler story in like the Daily Mail and the Sun.
That was in late May.
Yeah, it was in late May.
Okay.
Like, the quotes were so double-edged even then. Before we had read the whole thing, I remember people saying, like, oh, this is going to be bad for Meghan. Like, this is going to be bad for the Sussexes. This is Kate's official story. And then, like, the quotes kept coming. And they're like, holy shit, Tatler is really making fun of the Cambridges.
Yeah. Do you want me to read the top CEO? Do you mind? Or do you
yeah, sure.
So the initial thing we heard was that Kate and William were mad because they had more work after the Sussexes left. Mm-hmm. And they said, Kate feels exhausted and trapped. She's working as hard as a top CEO who has to be wheeled out all the time without the benefits of boundaries and plenty of holidays. Without the benefits of plenty of holidays.
So I quickly surmised that the Tatler story originally started out as a sympathetic piece for Kate that Kensington Palace organized on her behalf, and that she likely authorized her friends, maybe even some family, to speak on her behalf about how exhausted and overworked she is, and poor Kate. And don't you feel sorry for Kate because Meghan and Harry left her in the lurch. Yeah. And then Tatler turned that shit, and it was amazing.
And the Cambridges were denying it. And the first statement they gave to Richard Palmer, which is one of their friendly journalists, well, they gave this to multiple journalists, I guess. This story contains a swath of inaccuracies and false misrepresentations, which were not put to Kensington Palace prior to publication.
And then Tatler stood up for their story. They didn't back down in what must have been enormous royal pressure behind the scenes. Like, William was throwing a fit. Kate was throwing a fit. But Tatler didn't back down. They said Kensington Palace knew we were running the Catherine the Great cover months ago, and we asked them to work together on it. The fact that they are denying they ever knew is categorically false. Which is a clever word game again.
Yeah.
Kensington Palace obviously knew about the piece at the very beginning, and Tatler went off and did their thing. And then, someone went to Richard K. It was either William or Kate. It was probably William. And, he was trying to rebut it point by point. Instead of just shutting up and ignoring it, William and Kate just made it worse. They just kept going on and on. They were threatening to sue, and
they have confirmed all those details that were in it, which we heard more about in Finding Freedom. We're not even going to go into Finding Freedom that came out over the summer, but they have confirmed the thing with Kate telling Meghan how to run her wedding, and Kate kind of said that she was exhausted.
Yeah. That she's really exhausted, but don't worry about her.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the whole thing was ridiculous, and they just kept going on and on about it. I don't believe that Kate and William ever officially sued Tatler, because of course not. You can't sue the Society Bible.
They threatened to sue.
Yeah, they threatened to sue, and then they just kept applying pressure and pressure and pressure until months and months later, Tatler removed some sections, and then they removed even more of the online version. Now, by that point, everyone had already read it. We've already widely excerpted all of it. And so it's just sort of pointless that William and Kate demanded that the online version be taken down, or that parts of the online version.
They removed stuff in September.
Yeah.
It came out in May. And it was in print too. Yeah, it's so dumb.
All right. The first section that Tatler took out was this section about Rose Hanbury. And yeah. And that was very interesting because a lot of people theorized that Rose Hanbury, this was her revenge, this Tatler story, that it was all of Rose and the rich bitch turnip toffs who were providing all of these bitchy quotes to Tatler.
There's a lot about Carol Middleton kind of stage managing everything and how she was nouveau rich and pissing off the people in the area.
Yeah, and that William is obsessed with Carol. Yeah. I mean, go back and read the excerpts on our site, and it is so bitchy. Yeah, Rose Hanbury left her fingerprints all over it. I still believe that. And going back to this week's People magazine story, Kate tried to do that after Tatler. She tried to take a mulligan and go to People magazine and provide all of these quotes, but sugary and not bitchy at all. No, she really is exhausted. No, she really is mad at Meghan and Harry.
They ran that. People ran that, without a nod and a wink, just normal, which is what they did again for her now, because she's looking like a maskless asshole who travels around during a pandemic. So, with her husband, who is also a maskless asshole. That was a funny story. And it's the same as The Crown, though, because when they're trying to rebut stuff, they just confirm it.
Yeah, and they make it a bigger story. They draw so much more attention to this stuff when they're trying to deny it.
It's so basic and so dumb.
It's so amateurish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amateurish. For PR, it's really dumb.
And the fact that anyone considers these palace courtiers the gold standard, no, they're not. They're idiots. They are fucking morons.
That article you covered today that Harry and Meghan need to go back to the royal advisors.
Uh-huh.
Why? So they could do dumb shit and make asses of themselves? They would never.
Go on COVID tours. Use the royal train.
Oh, look, we're here. You should be so honored just to meet us. That's all. All right, let's move on to the comments of the week. Is that good?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. So my comment of the week is on the post about Vladimir Putin acknowledging Biden's win before Mitch McConnell did. And Rapunzel said, and in other news, Tiffany Trump has moved into the White House to serve as her father's official food tester, which he'll need now that Putin is done with him.
All right. And my comment of the week was a long one, and it was from the story about the Cambridge's video. They're 'Twas the Night Before Christmas video of their Pantoland extravaganza. And so Summerlover wrote another version of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And she wrote, this is a long one, so just bear with me. A few weeks before Christmas and all through the land went on a choo-choo train ride, the Cambridges and their merry band. For the key workers, they said, as they laughed and they smiled, shook hands and passed gifts, and coats sans masks, since they were styled. Then the people were unhappy, they rumbled and grumbled, and kids were trotted out as their popularity tumbled. Soon another duchess spoke a few words, took the heat off them, and people forgot their angst against this couple and said, what a lovely video they shot. It was a good one.
That was clever.
Summerlover, that was very clever.
Good job, Summerlover. But it's so true. Like, that's exactly what happened.
The Cambridges need to send Meghan and Harry a big Christmas gift, because after Meghan's big news this week, it was just like the Cambridges were forgotten, which I'm sure makes them very mad.
Except we're thinking about how hard Kate works. Because she's covering People magazine. Oh. All right, thanks for listening, bitches, and have a good holiday and a happy new year.
Thanks, bitches. Happy holiday. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again. I wanted to say Merry Christmas, but I didn't. I was like, I should say holiday.
Happy Hanukkah, too.
Yeah. Happy Hanukkah and Kwanzaa.